when a lot of bad things were happening about a year ago. It was very difficult for me to still feel positive about the gaming community because I didn't understand what was happening. Like this, my friends didn't act like this. My friends didn't do harassment or bullying or send death threats or rape threats and reveal people's personal addresses. And this was really upsetting to me because this is not the world I thought I was a part of. How do you reconcile that? Like, do you just feel that this is a vocal minority and that really they're like predominantly gaming culture and nerd culture is very positive? Is that what you find? Because you've been on way more book tours and way more conventions than I have. So what has your take been like a year later?
I mean, I think that in my book I talk, it's funny because the last chapter is about a certain incident that happened to me a year ago, and I was by no means the worst impacted, but I was caught up in it because I wanted to stand up and say, as someone who loves gaming and has been a proponent of gaming as a community and bonding activity and enriching, this is not acceptable. And you're right, it is not mainstream. This is a very small minority of people, and it was kind of a perfect vortex of several groups of a divergent but equally negative opinions coming together and feeling strong because of it. And really, I think out of that, having industry leaders and everyone speak up and say that this is not acceptable, this is not what gaming is, because it isn't. Gaming is a wonderful, enriching hobby, and while, just like on the street, you may have some pushback about your, people who are diverse and might, shake up the paradigm a little bit, by and large, it's amazingly inclusive and embracing of awesome, new people. So to me, I'm disappointed that has been a brush to paint the whole gaming industry, because that's not what I think of gaming. And to me, if we can just join hands and be stronger and be as proactively positive as that small minority of people are proactively negative, we could set an example for this growing hobby that really is hugely all-encompassing now. I mean, I just saw a study today that said a majority of gamers now are women, and yes, that's different kinds of games than traditionally thought of as gaming, but it's gaming nonetheless. And to stomp out somebody's enthusiasm for something that I love based on their appearance is, it's unacceptable. And I think the more people who say, I'm sorry, that's unacceptable and you're wrong, the better off we all will be gaming together.
How would you talk to someone who is like the most vicious or negative? Like, just like to remind them that, we are people, there's a polite way to disagree. And I feel like sometimes we've lost that on the internet, is the proper way to just talk to each other. Even if you vehemently disagree with each other, it doesn't mean you have to be vehement.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think disagreeing with respect is super important in anything. I mean, our politics is an example of just people who are intractable, and therefore nothing gets done because there's no common ground to work towards. And I think we all love gaming, and if you have issues with gaming or people putting forth their own opinion, put forth your opinion in a rational, thought out way, and don't think that someone is condemning your whole being because they're critiquing something about something you love. It really is that defensiveness, as well as just certain pockets of culture that deem a kind of behavior appropriate. I mean, really, we want to fit in. And if you're in a group where fitting in means you trash talk people or hate on people because they're of their sex or sexuality or race, like, that's your norm. And I think that's kind of the darker side of the internet that allows people to feel like they belong amongst those pockets. And all we can do is just be much louder and say, hey, there's a better way to be. Over here, we're actually having a lot more fun.
And there's a little bit of irony because so many of us were picked on growing up.
And
to do that to other people is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, but I think, if you have, we're all emotional people.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling a negative emotion and leading with a negative emotion, you're probably unhappy and you have issues that you need to take care of. If you're feeling so disenfranchised by one person speaking up that differs from your opinion, I think, maybe there's a way for you to be happier,
right.
Ultimately.